I don't know how I'm going to explain this, but I have hyper realistic dreams. Like the dream feels more like reality than reality. So last night, I had this dream about my ex girlfriend. And throughout the dream, it's just a replay of the entire 4 months of our relationship. Like day by day by day for 4 months I was in this dream and thought it was real. And at the end of it, which was the part where I broke up with her and she was like crying and the school counselor came out and was telling me like how sad she was and everything. It was an actual replay of everything. I woke up and I had this appreciation, well, this reflection and reminder to have a deeper appreciation of people, of understanding that I can't take my frustration and my personal issues out on those around me because it was never anything she did wrong. It was me not feeling like I was at the place I wanted to be in life. And rather than admit that, my 16-year-old self decided to project that out onto her. And it led to this distance between us that ultimately was the reason we broke up. And I believe that our dreams make us reflect on our life because I can't go back and change what I did. I can't go back and change how I acted, but I can change who and what I am moving forward. So, moving forward, I asked myself, well, how do I want to treat people? How do I want to show up in my relationships? And by relationships, I don't just mean the romantic kind, I mean in my friendships, in my business interactions, in my coaching calls, in my family, in the way I treat people, just strangers. Like, how do I want to show up? I want to be kind. I want to be caring. I want to be loving. I want to respect others. I want to love other people as I love myself. And you can only love others if you love yourself. So part of why that relationship ended was I didn't fully love myself at the time. Like at the time, I had a lot of stuff I had to work through. I had a lot of stuff I had to get honest about and admit to myself. And you can't give love if you don't have it within you. You can't give someone something that you don't have. But unfortunately, a lot of times we try to fill a void within us using other people and other things. And I say the word using on purpose because if you think that, okay, I'm going to get this girlfriend, I'm going to get this boyfriend, I'm going to get this relationship, I'm going to get this money, this car, this house, this job, this degree, this grade, whatever, and then I'll feel good. You're trying to fill a void within using something without. You can't use the stuff without to fill what's missing within. You got to go within and admit to yourself, okay, well, Lawrence, where is this coming from? Where is this void? Where did you learn this about yourself? Why don't you already feel good within yourself? Well, it's because at the time I wasn't where I wanted to be in life. At the time, I didn't have a job. At the time, I felt just a lot of stuff I was going through, a lot of stress and whatnot. And what I want to talk to you guys about today is take some time to ask yourself, how do you want to show up? How do you want to treat others? What kind of person you want to be? How do you want to be remembered? Because if you go ask her, and mind you, this was years ago, we haven't spoken since. If you were to go back today and ask her today, how do you remember Lawrence? What kind of person was he? She would describe me as radically different than who I am today. And you cannot change that. You can't change who you once were in the past. You can change who you decide to be moving forward. Yes, you may have done some stuff you regret in the past. You might have hurt some people, you might have broke some hearts, you might have been disrespectful. Who knows? You might even went to jail. But you can decide moving forward, who do I want to be? How do I want to treat people? How do I want to treat myself? Because the way we treat others often is a result of not treating ourselves properly. Like I said earlier, when you're trying to fill a void within by using other people, you are using other people. When you try to fill a void within by using money, you are using money. And when people feel used, they want to leave. Because when people who, let me correct that, when people who love themselves properly feel used, they want to leave because you're using me rather than loving me. And I love you in return. Love is a two-way street. You can only give it if you have it, and you can only get it if you have it. As in to say, if someone doesn't love themselves, they will attract people who don't love them and don't love themselves. And you have two people trying to use each other to fill something that neither one of them has. And you can look at this dynamic in toxic relationships where one person like is really insecure and doesn't love themselves, and the other person is like using them to try and feel good about themselves, but the person who feels bad about themselves is seeking out and only allowing people who are bad for them because that's how they feel about themselves. I had a different ex who what happened there was I was treating her like really great, lovey dovey, everything was great. And everything just started going downhill because every time I would try to do something that was good for her, such as like, hey, I think you should stop hanging with those people. They're no good for you. Hey, we should go here instead. Like, don't do this because it is bad for you. She would take it as me being controlling. And the irony is that when someone tries to help you, you can feel like, oh, they're trying to say that they know better than me. They're trying to control me. They're trying to take away my sense of personal freedom. But when you love someone, you want what is good for them. The problem, though, is that sometimes what is good for them isn't what they want. And you have to love people enough to allow them to live their life. But if they don't want to take the advice that is good for them, you also have to love them enough to leave. I know it sounds so backwards. Like saying it out loud, it sounds so backwards, but it makes so much sense in my head. You sometimes have to love people enough to leave because you trying to love someone who doesn't love themselves will actually make them mad because you're not treating them how they believe that they deserve to be treated, even though they believe that they deserve to be treated bad. It's like you can only love people who love themselves. And you can only love others if you properly love yourself. And most of the time, we don't ever sit down and think about this. We don't ever sit down and reflect on who do I want to be? How do I want to be treated? And how do I want to treat others? The verse of love thy brother as you love yourself. It's one of the 10 commandments, actually. The point of that is to love others, you must love yourself. And you must love others to the same level you love yourself. If I don't want people to disrespect me, I'm not going to disrespect other people. If I don't want people to argue with me, I'm not going to argue with other people. If I don't want people to invade my privacy and my boundaries, I'm not going to do that to others. And another thing that we have to think about is communication. Because In all my relationships that have ended, one of the common things that it came down to was misinterpretation and lack of communication. That was one of the things that all of them had in common. Because you think that you're right, and you might be. That person thinks they're right, and they might be. But you had to be able to talk to each other about, hey, the reason why I am doing XYZ is because of this. And you two can work through that. You two can work through that problem. Because you might feel like they don't care about you or that they don't love you because that's how you interpret their actions. Now, if you communicate, hey, when you do this or when you don't do this, it makes me feel this. I don't want you to do that, then you two can have a proper discussion and figure out a solution. But if you don't talk about your problems with your partner, and I mean problem within the relationship, you don't talk to them about what they're doing and they don't talk to you about what you're doing, it's only a matter of time before it comes crashing down because you're not showing up properly. You're not communicating with them about what's going on. And another thing I want to close out on is the fact that inevitably you're not going to have it all figured out. You're not going to be perfect. Nobody is the perfect boyfriend. Nobody is the perfect girlfriend. And the grass is never greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it. And unfortunately, social media and whatnot has led people to have this grass is greener mentality when it comes to loving and appreciating people, not just loving and appreciating their boyfriend or girlfriend, but their friends, their family, their opportunities, because they think, oh, this person is taller, got more money, they look this way. Oh, this girl is prettier, she's thinner, she's this, she's that. And people will think, oh, the grass is greener over there. No, the grass is greener where you water it. If you water into your partner, they'll bloom and you'll bloom with them because they'll water back into you. But if you don't water them, they're going to just dry up and wither. And the relationship is going to dry up and wither. So be aware that nobody is perfect. Everybody has some sort of flaw. And you have to understand that just like you're not perfect, they're not perfect. And just like they're not perfect, you're not perfect. But you don't need to measure yourself up to these standards of what social media and the world tells you. You need to define for yourself, what kind of person do I want to be? What kind of person do I want to have in my life? And what will I tolerate? What will I not tolerate? You have to be clear on that. And the clearer you are about what you do and don't want, the easier it becomes to find that and not involve yourself with people who aren't aligned with it. And the last thing I want to say is sometimes we got to forgive ourselves. We have to forgive ourselves for who we once were. We have to forgive ourselves for how we treated other people. We have to forgive ourselves for the thing that we did wrong. We have to forgive ourselves for who we were. But you can change who you are moving forward. You can say to yourself, I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to repeat that. And you now are a new creature. I can't remember the exact verse, but it's something along the lines of, you are a new creature in Christ. Essentially, it says that the old things are gone. Yeah, you did that. You said that. You broke up with that person. You hurt that person. You broke somebody's heart, whatever. But you're not that person anymore. That was you. But the person you decide to be moving forward is you. So treat people as you wish to be treated and figure out, who do you want to be? What do you want to do? And live your life according to that. With that said, I hope you guys have a wonderful, lovely, and blessed day. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you're a podcast host, school principal, or run a youth focused organization, you can contact me at lawrence@lawrenceharris.com, as well as if you'd like to purchase my books, Links will be in the description, along with getting a one on one coaching call with me. Have a good one.